Well, hello, hello, hello. Welcome, welcome, welcome. We've got another Wednesday edition of Wellness Wednesdays. Thank you guys so much for coming in. If you are tuning in, catching a replay, I appreciate you. I appreciate you for being here. I hope all of you are doing well. Come on in, family. Come on in. We are going to get started. I'm so excited about today's episode. Come on in, come on in. Now, if you see me looking down, I'm just checking the chat. How is everyone? Happy Wednesday. It is Wellness Wednesday, and I have a special guest. I have Slava from Kitchen Garden Therapy coming in soon. If you are in, please go ahead and leave a comment and let me know if that you can hear me well, that you can see me well. Let a sister know. Make sure everything is okay. First of all, I want to say thank you all for coming in, for joining me today, spending your lunch break. Wellness Wednesdays is something new to my channel. We used to do live streams every Sunday, but we decided that Wednesday, midday, our lunch hour, it works better for us. So we're inviting you guys to hang out with us just for an hour, 12 p.m. to 1 p.m. Wednesdays this summer. We'll see how long we do this for, but at least for the duration of the summer. So thank you guys for coming in and hanging out with us. If you are here, please go ahead and hit that thumbs up. I'm very excited about today's episode, and I'm very excited to have you guys here with me. I know midday, the lunch hour is a little, it might be a little inconvenient for some, but if you're still working or you don't got time to participate in the conversation, just leave us on, keep listening, because I promise you it's going to be a good one. I promise you it is. So let's just make sure that you can hear me, and I believe that you can. And go ahead, come on in and hit that thumbs up. Hi, Pam is here. Welcome in. So nice to see you, Blue Self-Reliance. Thank you for coming in. Welcome to Urban Girl Gardening. Welcome to the live stream. Welcome to Wellness Wednesdays. Whew. So on my Wednesdays, hello, the art of today. Thank you so much for coming in. On my Wednesdays, I will have a guest with me, and we will be talking about all things wellness and gardening or not gardening, just ways that we may help each other, help ourselves get better, and, different services that we may provide. On the opposite Wednesdays, Jeremy will be doing Gardening the Mind, which if you didn't catch last Wednesdays, you have to get over there and do that. You got to get over there. Let's see, really excited for this. Thank you. Thank you so much, Pam. I'm happy to have you here. And you did an amazing job with Yogi Hollow. I really did enjoy the live. I didn't get a chance to comment, but I really did enjoy the live. It was really good. So it was nice to see you up there. So we have Slava coming in from Kitchen Garden Therapy, but I just want to keep welcoming everyone in. And feel free, if you have any questions during the conversation, just leave them in the chat, and I will try my best to make sure that we get to everybody. Let's see. Good, good. So obviously you guys can hear me. Obviously you guys can see me well. Am I blurry? How's it going? Oh, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate that. I have something really big going on in a couple of hours after this live, so I had to pull myself together and look presentable. Thank you. I appreciate it. So without further ado, I think our guest is here. It is blurry? Oh, that stinks. I'm sorry about that. It shouldn't be. Shoot. We pay real good money for good internet, but I'm going to bring Slava in, guys. And just give me 1 second.
Hello.
Slava, hello.
Hi,
Welcome
hi.
in, welcome in. Well, you look beautiful.
Thank you. Can you hear me good?
I hear you perfectly.
Awesome. Because I had
Perfectly.
to actually connect from my phone because my laptop at the last minute wasn't cooperating with me. So I'm
Listen,
sorry.
I'm going through the same thing. My laptop, the screen won't come on at all. I can't even see, so I'm on my phone. I'm trying to make it work too, but we're gonna make it do what it do. So
Yeah.
everybody say welcome to Slava from Kitchen Garden Therapy.
Hello,
Can you
everyone.
see the chat?
I have a chat open on my laptop, so that works.
First of all, I want to thank you. You are the second guest that I've had so far for Wellness Wednesday. So thank you so much for agreeing to come on. I'm very excited to talk to you and pick your brain because you're a little bit of a garden genius.
Aw, thank you.
I mean, in my eyes, yes, yes, you are. I love watching your Instagram story. I love watching your videos. I learned a whole lot from you. So we're going to share some knowledge and we're going to share our love for the garden and all it gives us with the audience today. So tell us a little bit about yourself. Who is Slava and Kitchen Garden Therapy?
So I had this thought in mind when I was starting my channel to make sure I deliver the message of a peaceful and therapeutic gardening because we live in such a stressful world. People are so busy and they have so many issues and so many bad things happening around.
Oh
And
yeah.
a lot of people tend to gardening as their therapy, but
Mm-hmm.
as a beginners, they find it to be stressful too because there's so much
Right.
information and they don't know how to do it, especially
Mm-hmm.
when people weren't growing up with parents who were, gardening.
Right.
So I had a luxury of growing up in a family that we always grew our own food and we were growing a ton of it and all different varieties and stuff. So,
Oh wow.
I'm happy that my parents were teaching me from the beginning how to do it properly, but a
Right.
lot of people didn't have that opportunity. So I
Mhm.
figured, because my education in Ukraine back home, I didn't finish it, but I was supposed to be a therapist. um,
Oh,
so yeah, I was supposed to work with kids in schools as a psychologist or therapist.
I
And
can see that.
yeah, so I didn't finish because I won a green card and I came here, so I had to stop the education.
You say
But
you won?
yeah, so the way I came to United States is when I was in college, I filled up an application. It's called the diversity program, also
Okay.
known as a green card lottery. So it is a lottery.
Oh
You
wow.
So if you win, you're a lucky person, basically, because millions of people apply and only some people win.
Oh, I have never heard of that. Wow.
Yeah. So every year, I think from my country, around 4,000, 5,000 do come
Hmm.
um, to United States. I'm not sure about now, but back then, I'm speaking about like 10 years ago,
Right.
was applying. I was one of those few thousands who did make it, but there were many of those who didn't. And when I applied for a green card, I was just a kid. I was in college and I filled it up and I forgot about it. And then
Yeah,
I got
how long did that
married.
take?
Yeah, and then I got married. I had a kid. My older daughter was just born when I come home one day and there is a letter in my door saying, "We couldn't
Oh,
find you."
so this took years.
Yes.
Oh
Yes.
wow.
Yeah, I think they that company that I had applied through, they were
Hmm.
reapplying for me every single year. And I didn't even know. I was
That's
like,
awesome.
I thought I applied once, I didn't win. Okay, well, it's like with lottery ticket. You didn't win.
Right.
Okay, so but they were reapplying for me every single year. And one year, it was 2011, I won. So I came to United States and that was the beginning of a new story for me.
That is amazing. So your family was gardening over in Ukraine.
Yes, yes. We were
Yeah.
living in a village. Like
Okay.
not like a suburb type of a village, like a remote village.
Oh, wow. So you were surrounded by farmland.
Yes, yes.
Okay.
And I was living in a really like beautiful mountainous area. The climate was really similar to where I am right now in
So
Chicago.
that's what I was going to ask you. How
Yeah.
different is it in Ukraine to where you are now?
It's very similar, very, very similar. We had 4 seasons over there too. I would say that maybe like 2 weeks difference. Like it's a little bit colder over there than here. But
Okay.
other than that, it's so similar.
And then where are you now?
So I live in Chicago. I came here 10 years ago and I stayed here. I didn't.
What's the zone in Chicago?
It's zone 5B,
Oh,
but some parts of Chicago are zone 6. So it's like on the edge.
oh, okay. Because I watch your videos and I see sometimes like you're already harvesting like peas and stuff like that. And I'm like, my peas aren't ready yet. But I see, I mean, you've got lots of experience, so you know what to do when you're out there. You got them going already, and you got them going good. So I also wanted to ask you, I have a list. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your style of gardening. From what I've watched over, I think maybe the last year of being a subscriber of yours, I see that you like to make sure that you use as much of your space as you possibly can. So how much room do you have to grow and how do you utilize all that room?
Yeah, so I had to be creative when I moved here because in
The sound is a little off.
okay, I don't know why is that. Maybe I get closer. Can you hear me now?
You might have to go out and come back in. Let's see. Say something.
Hello?
Yeah, there's like a staticky something a little. Am I sounding okay?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, you might have to go out and come back in. Can you do that for 1 sec?
Sure.
Thank you, real quick. Sorry about that, guys. Walk in Purpose, Monica Miles. Thank you so much for coming in. Callie Homesteading with Pooh Bear. Hello, African Dreaming. Hello, thank all you guys for coming in. I'm so glad to see you. Roots to a Garden. Welcome, welcome. Big Mama's Garden. It's so nice of you guys to join me. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So Slava's going to come back in. We just want to make sure that the sound and everything is right. We was getting good, y'all. We was just getting into the thick of it now. The art of today. Sometimes when I plant my seeds from a previous use package, only weeds come up instead of what I actually planted. Edible good weeds, but still weeds. Oh my goodness. You know what? I feel like I'm experiencing that this year, actually. I'm going to bring Slava back up, but I do feel like
Hello? Can you
I
hear
do
me
feel
now?
like hi Slava, thank you. Just say something real quick.
Can you hear me now?
Perfect. But I
Awesome.
just want to respond to
Mhm.
the art of today. Sometimes when I plant my seeds from a previously used package, only weeds come up instead of what I actually planted. Edible good weeds, but still weeds. And I was just saying, I feel like that is happening to me now. Because I have been dropping seeds, but what's growing is just I don't know if it's the packaging or if something stray flies in the package. I don't know what's going on. Seeds flying on the soil, but a few of my pots are a little suspicious. So we're gonna have to look into that. But back to my questions. How much space do you have, and how important is it to utilize as much of it as possible?
So I have very little space because I
Mhm.
live in the city of Chicago, not in the suburbs. You know,
Not
my
in the countryside.
not in the countryside like I did in
Right.
Ukraine, where I
Mm-hmm.
had a ton of land, like acres and acres. My parents had acres of. Here, I have a lot, city lot of 25 by 125 feet. It's a
Okay.
typical standard Chicago lot, really small, really tiny, and that's including the house, the garage, and
You would never guess that based on how much you produce. You would
yeah.
never guess that.
So, what I've done, I build raised beds in my backyard.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I plant all of my annuals, and then of around the house, on all of the like little strips of the land that I have,
Mm-hmm.
that's where I plant all of my perennials. That's where I create like a food forest type of a garden that,
Uh-huh.
that everything can cooperate together and help each other. All of the perennials can help each other grow.
Mm-hmm.
So I try to practice like a permaculture concept where you plant once and you enjoy for years. So I do
Yeah,
that.
just keep
I
coming back.
I have a ton of perennials, and I try to every year add few more, and like I'm building my food forest. And then
Especially ones that self-seed very easily. Like there are some annuals that can grow as perennials because they'll just keep coming back and coming back.
I love them. I love having volunteers in my garden. It's awesome. It's like lazy gardening.
And you know what? I'm at the point now this year, I have so many volunteers that I'm like, I feel like I wasted seeds. Because I'm like, I planted all these sunflowers and then they're all over the place, all these tomatoes, and there's tomatoes all over the place. There's borage everywhere, chamomile everywhere, dill everywhere. And I'm like, I could have just let the garden grow itself this year. I didn't have to do anything.
And those volunteers are the best because they only the strongest of those seeds that had dropped down
Mhm.
actually sprouted. So it's a
Mhm.
natural selection of the fittest. They will be
Yep,
the best.
survival of the fittest.
Yes, they will
Yep.
be growing strong and healthy, and they will produce a lot. So I love having those volunteers, and I try to, if it's possible, do not even move them unless it's in between the like cracks in the asphalt, in the
I have a confession. I have chamomile growing in the cracks. And I left it. I said, you know what? You wanted to stay there, you can stay there for now, at least for this season.
Yeah, if it's not on the way, if it's not on the way of walking or something,
Right.
I'll leave it there too because that's where it wanted to grow. So it will grow
Exactly.
naturally in there. Yeah, I try to play with nature and see what works and
Mhm.
leave it as is, because I think that's the proper way of doing it. Nature knows what it's doing. So we just have to kind of, play
Let
with
it
it
do what it
a
do.
little.
We have to go with nature's flow sometimes,
Yes,
right?
yes.
So you also incorporate your peppers and edible herbs into your flowers and stuff like that.
I have to, since I have
Right.
such a small space.
Hmm.
Usually, people do not plant any edibles in the front, like front
Hmm.
landscape. It's all ornamentals.
Right.
But I figured edibles are also ornamental. They look great,
They're
especially
beautiful to look at.
they're beautiful, especially like
Yeah.
the kale, the curly kale. Um, it looks so good. I mean, it's
There's so many beautiful varieties of
yeah,
kale.
and
I actually
peppers.
recently used blue curled kale on my front porch garden, and it's very pretty around some pink geraniums. It's so beautiful.
Yeah, it's awesome. Also, peppers. Peppers, there's varieties that are so ornamental. Like they have, like Texas bird pepper or black pearl. Black pearl not only
Ooh,
has dark purple leaves, but the
oh my
fruit is
God.
also these tiny purple
Okay,
peppers.
I have to write this down. Black pearl.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Oh
yeah.
my gosh.
I'm growing it this year and I'm in love with it. I mean, it doesn't have peppers so far, only blooms,
Mhm.
but the leaves are so beautiful. I love it.
I can't wait to see it. I cannot wait to see it. Okay, so tell us your top three medicinal plants, plants that everyone should have in their garden.
Okay, let's think. Well, number one for me would be echinacea. I love echinacea,
Mm-hmm.
also known as coneflower.
Cornflower, yeah.
I
And
love
why?
the, yeah, I
Yeah.
love the blooms. They're so pretty. It's a perennial, so you plant it once and it's forever in your garden. I love
Mm-hmm.
it because it's one of the easiest immune boosting plants you can have.
Mm-hmm.
So medicinal plants, they have like categories. Those that are easy
Right.
to use, you don't have to even worry about. You can give them to kids. They are like
Mm-hmm.
the safest of the plants.
Right.
Echinacea is among those. It's like chamomile or mint. And
Mm-hmm.
there are those plants that you have to be careful with.
Oh yeah.
So the next one would be valerian root. So valerian plant, but it is famous for its root. I love valerian. It is stinky. The root of
The plant
valerian,
itself is stinky?
no, only the root.
Oh,
So the plant itself is so beautiful. It grows tall and pretty. It has these nice white little flowers. It's about to bloom in my garden. So in the next few days, if it's going to bloom, I'll definitely show it on my
yeah.
channel. It's beautiful. I love it. But the plant itself is not medicinal. The medicinal is root. So root
What is
concentrate.
it used for?
It is used for many different things, but it is sedative, and I love to use it when I can't sleep. So there are times that I'm worried about something and I just can't sleep. So I use it for when I have insomnia. But there's a lot of people who use it for cardiovascular diseases. So it's good for cardiovascular system of the body.
And that's the thing with plants. They have so many different uses. You
Yes.
really have to do your research. You really have to do your research. So with the valerian, with the root, do you dry it like you would do dandelion root or chicory root? You dehydrate it and
then you make a tincture out of it.
Oh.
Or you add it to your tea. So tea, as I said, it doesn't smell good. So I personally would not drink a tea out of valerian root unless you're desperate. But the tincture is easier because you can just put a couple of drops in your water and drink it, or juice or whatever. If you want to hide the smell, you can put it in your favorite juice. I was actually, when I was growing up, it was a common medicine, I would say. Like, people would just have, everybody in their house would have a valerian tincture. Like, it was so common that I thought everybody has it, And
is the taste as pungent as the smell?
It's a little bit sharp, like mint, kind of. But it's not bad. It's not bad. Yeah.
Okay.
The smell is worse.
So we have echinacea, we have valerian root, and then what's number 3?
Number 3 would be feverfew. Because once in a while I get headaches. It's not bad. It's not a big deal. But as everybody, we do have headaches once in a while. Right. And I found that feverfew is, for me personally, I mean, plants are so individual. You have to try and see if they work for you. For some people, this works, and for other person, the other plant works.
I mean, just like medications.
Exactly, yeah. So feverfew, for me personally, works as a headache relief. So I make a tea. Feverfew is another one that has a strong smell, but it's not stinky. It is kind of, it is pleasant, to a certain point.
And the entire plant able to be used?
So the roots are not used, but all of the upper plant is used.
Okay.
The leaves and the blooms. And it looks just like chamomile. So the blooms, the flowers of feverfew are, a lot of people mistaking it for chamomile. They think it's a chamomile. The only difference between them is the height of the plant. Feverfew is much, much higher, taller.
Really? Because I have some tall chamomile out there.
Well, feverfew is, I'm very short. I'm 5 feet even.
Oh.
Feverfew is taller than me sometimes.
Oh, wow. That's big.
And I've never seen chamomile that tall.
No. I take my comment back. You're right.
So feverfew is tall, and the leaves are like chrysanthemum. So the leaves of feverfew are similar to chrysanthemum leaves. I think they're from the same family.
So the leaves and the flowers can both be used?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay.
I love this. I love this plant. I originally thought it's going to be perennial in my zone because it's either a biennial or a short-lived perennial. And for 2 years, it was coming back, every year. And I thought, okay, it had established itself. It will be a perennial in my zone. But then this year, the original plant didn't come back. but it self-seeded itself like crazy. I have fever
And
a
that
few
was my
weeks.
next question.
Yeah, it came back as a seedlings all over my yard.
Oh my goodness. So I know you're not letting all of those grow.
Not all, but I will pick those that are in a good
Do you
spot.
give them away?
If there are people who want it, I always willing to give, but
Right.
people are really afraid of having medicinal plants, and
Hmm.
that's the thing. I'm not sure if you have experienced that, but I come across this every day when I tell people that I'm an herbalist and I use medicinal herbs on an
Hmm.
everyday basis. They're like looking at me like I'm some medieval
They're,
times witch.
they're more afraid of what nature has given us to help us than what the pharmacies and the pharmaceutical companies develop in labs, which are their attempts at making synthesized versions of what nature's already provided.
Exactly. Yeah.
Nothing's ever as good as the original.
And a lot of times they do use herbs in labs too.
Oh
They
yeah.
incorporate them, extracts and stuff.
Well, that's
So
how we got aspirin.
exactly, yeah. So
Right.
people do use herbs on a regular basis. They just don't know about
They
it.
just don't know it. And you know, when you use medicinal herbs and flowers and plants and stuff like that, it's up to the person to make those decisions about how to use it, how much to use it. So I think that's where people that the accountability that they have to take on it. I think they're like, you know what? The government says this or the company says this. I'd rather just do it that way than do the guesswork themselves, you
Yeah,
know?
they go to doctor to tell them exactly how much, how many pills, and at what time to take. And
Hmm.
when they ask me, I tell them, you have to try it. You have to see
Right,
what. They're like, wait a minute. There is no rule. There is no like written rule. You have to take this. And I'm like, no, nature is different. It's not like that. There are recommendations that you can
right.
follow. You better follow them. You don't want to go and grab a foxglove and start eating it because it's poisonous.
Poisonous, right.
I mean, it is medicinal, but it's borderline poisonous. So
Hmm.
you have to know exactly what you're doing.
Right, that goes into like holistic therapy.
Yeah.
They know how to use the right amount of certain poisonous plants and stuff like that to get the results that are needed to help the
But there's
person.
only so few. Like, I don't have that many. I have over 50 medicinal plants in my garden,
I love it.
but
When
only,
you gave us three and you have 50 and
well,
you were able to narrow it down.
I'll name three that are poisonous. Out of those 50, I have three that are you have to be careful with. So one of them is foxglove, as I mentioned.
Right,
Beautiful plant. It is medicinal, but you got to be careful with it.
right.
The next one is greater celandine, which is poisonous, but people do not use it usually internally. It is good
Hmm.
for skin. Like when you break the stem of celandine, it has a milky substance, kind of like dandelions and lettuce,
Right.
but it's yellow. So that
Oh,
that milky substance is yellow, and that's
what is
why
it used for?
for all skin issues like warts and other disease, skin issues like for some people use it for eczema and other things. So I
So
keep
it's
it
like comfrey kind of?
kind of like comfrey, yeah. The only thing comfrey, you have to make a poultice out of it. And
Right.
with greater celandine, you just have to get that milky substance from the stem.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so that's a poisonous thing. And lily of the valley, the beautiful spring flowers that
So
everybody loves.
pretty.
Yeah, so beautiful, but it has a strong smell that can cause headaches. So, like, I personally, I'm sensitive to lily of the valley scent, and also
Hmm.
jasmine gives me this like if I make a bouquet and bring it indoors and I keep smelling that scent, I'll have a headache. So it
Are
has
they related?
I'm sorry.
Are they related at all?
I don't think so. I don't think so. But some people have that from lilies. Like lilies
Mm.
have such a strong scent also, and some
Lilies
people
are my
have that.
favorite flower, so I don't mind it. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Wow. Can you hear that? There's a dog barking.
No, I don't.
Okay, good. Excuse me. Okay, so how do you include your family in your gardening?
Well, my mom currently lives with me. She came from Ukraine, so she helps me a lot. Um, she's always surprised how much I can fit into because she's used to also gardening on a big scale.
Right.
And she's always at the beginning she was telling me you're planting too close. It's too close. Like but I plant next to each other. I cram a lot of things. But now
I'm the
she's
same way.
now she's used to it, and so she does help me when she has time. And my kids, they of course they don't do you know major things, but
Right.
like planting, I always try to include them when I'm planting, sowing
Mhm.
seeds, the fun part of gardening.
And harvesting.
Yes, and harvesting. They love it. They love it. Last year we had like each of them had like a designated bed just for them. So one had this area, one had the other one, and they were so proud. They were like, "This is my garden."
You know what? That is wonderful. And I always say that I'm going to do that, but I get selfish and greedy with the garden. So I end up giving them a crop that's theirs, something that's just theirs to take care of. But they can't have the whole bed. I just can't do it. Maybe eventually we'll work up to that, but I'm greedy with the garden.
I know this year, this is what happened with me too. I was planning to give them, but
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, Sophia is gonna say she wants corn, but corn can't be here. It's gonna shade over the rest of the garden. So I'm like, I can't do that.
Now, do you teach them things like that? Like where things should be growing, when they should be planted, how long it's going to take?
Yes, because they come up with the idea what they want,
Hmm.
but they don't know how that will result. So I
Hmm.
have to tell them, I'm like, okay, Sophia, you love corn. It's great, but it
Right,
grows tall. You can't plant it just in a row. Yes, it has to be a group of it for pollination. So I
right.
explain to them the pollination process,
Mhm.
what can be planted with it for support, like companion planting and stuff like that.
Right.
And they like to learn, so I have good listeners.
They do, especially when you start the children from the beginning, from just putting the seeds in the soil. Then they see the harvest and they're like, oh, wait a minute, I did that. They have that ownership and they're proud. So kids really do enjoy gardening.
They
Um,
actually get mad when you harvest without them. One time I harvested radishes that my daughter planted. She's like, you got my radishes? How dare you?
Slava, you never touch a person's radishes now. You should know this.
Yeah.
You can't touch people's crops now.
But I'm
Okay.
happy. I'm so happy that they are into it. And when my older daughter said, when I grow up, I want to be like you, mom. I want to be a gardener. That
Oh,
was the sweetest thing I ever heard.
oh. So how old are your kids?
My older one is 12 and my younger one is 8.
Okay. Okay. And your daughter is the oldest.
Uh, I'm sorry.
Your daughter's the oldest?
Well, yeah, I have both of
Oh,
them.
both girls.
Yeah, both girls.
Oh, okay. I don't know why I thought you had a boy too. I'm jinxing you. So let's go to the YouTube side of things. How long have you been a content creator? And what made you get started?
So, for about a year, I started
Mhm.
last year in March, and I wasn't thinking that it's going to be anything serious. I just started for fun.
Mhm.
This is my second attempt in YouTube because,
Really?
yeah, in 2016, I had a channel. Um, it was called Slava Orchid. It's not no
Orchid,
longer.
like the flower?
Yes. It's no
Oh.
longer on YouTube. I deleted it completely, even though it
Okay, because
was.
I was about to look it up.
No, it's no longer there. Um, I had a great collection of orchids. I still love orchids, and I have a few of them. But back then, I had a ton of orchids. It was a time that I just moved into this house, and um, I really wanted to, make it look good. And so I started buying one and then another. And I didn't realize how fast I had a full house of orchids, and I started going to Illinois Orchid Society meetings, and we had shows
Oh,
together
wow.
because we have a great botanic garden in Chicago.
Mhm.
It's called Chicago Botanic Garden, and they have annual orchid shows. They are beautiful. They are like,
Do you still go?
I do. I love it. It's like over 10,000 of orchids, on those.
Orchids are a tough flower. That's a tough plant.
Yeah, but I love them. I love. The only thing was for me is that they're not edible. I mean, majority of them are not. You can eat petals of Phalaenopsis orchid, the most common one, but nobody
Mhm.
would. Who would just take and eat the flower?
Well, listen, nowadays it's just becoming cool to eat dandelions and violets and peonies and roses and all these other flowers that were just pretty to look at. I
Yeah.
mean, you're making jelly.
Yeah. So
You know?
that's why I kind of slowed down on my orchid addiction, because I wanted to grow something that's edible, that's useful for the
Mhm.
family. And also I had some issues on my YouTube journey back then. So
Oh,
in 2016, I started, and I grew really fast. I got monetized in less than 6 months. It was such a fast
wow.
growth. But with that growth came a lot of trouble. I was not careful in what I'm doing. And at some moment, I had to stop and reevaluate everything. And so I deleted the channel. I wish I didn't do that. Now I feel bad for it. But I'm emotional. So it was one of those moments that I was just like, that's it, I'm done. So I
Oh,
deleted the channel,
wow.
and I left all social media. I deleted my Facebook, Insta, everything.
Wow,
I
it must have
deleted.
been really bad.
So for a whole year, I was not on social media. But let me tell you, that year was such a great year. It changed my life. I realized a lot of things, and
Mhm.
that's when I started more outdoor growing and gardening and coming back to my roots, and
Right.
remembering my roots and starting all over. And then last year I decided I'm going to give YouTube another chance. And that's how the channel started, and I named it Kitchen Garden Therapy because I wanted to be just garden therapy, but that
Mhm.
name was already taken. So I figured kitchen is my other passion. I love to cook. So cooking is like what I can do every day, and I love doing it. And
Right.
gardening is related to cooking because we
Right.
garden so we can
So we
make,
can cook.
yeah, so we can eat it.
So we can eat it. And I mean, that's where you make your tinctures, right?
Yeah, yeah.
And oh my gosh, that violet jelly was so pretty. That color. And I had violets outside, and I actually found a neighbor, their home, the front yard is like all violets. It's like packed. And every day I walk past and I'm like, oh, I wonder if they'll be mad at me. I need to make that jelly Slava made. And I'm like, I have to work up the nerve to ask them because, of course, you don't want to just be harvesting stuff. If it has pesticides, you don't know what they're using on their lawns and stuff like that. But oh my goodness, that jelly looks so good. I definitely have to try making that one. So, since we're on the topic of YouTube, what advice would you have for someone with everything that you've gone through who wants to start a YouTube channel?
I would say the first thing, just do it. Just don't think of, because a lot of time people overthink it. They start
Mhm.
planning how it's going to be, and there are actually professionals who say you don't even start anything if you don't have a goal to, like, I have to reach this many subscribers by this time.
Right.
I don't agree with that, because it's great to plan, it's great to visualize and have goals, but
Mhm.
if you're not sure, you still have to do it. Just give it a
Right.
chance, just try it. And then
Go for it.
as you go and as you start gaining that experience,
Mhm.
because that's, how they say about food, appetite comes when you start eating. Sometimes you are not hungry, but then you start trying something and you're like, oh
That
my
is so
God,
true. That is so true.
same with everything else. You may be
Mhm.
hot about something, but you don't know how it's gonna work, and you're hesitant and you stop
Right.
yourself. Don't do that. Just do it.
Now, what advice would you have for someone who is just becoming a gardener, just getting into gardening, and wants to go along the road of plant-based medicine and herbalism?
Experiment. A lot of times, they beginners get advice to start slow,
Mm-hmm.
and I think that's going to discourage, because starting slow, you have 1 2 plants, and you're stuck with them for a year, but that's too boring. You know, if you
Not
are
only that, what if they don't succeed? Those two
exactly,
things.
yeah.
Yeah.
So my advice is to plant as much as you can. Don't just start slow, go all in, and
All
plant
right.
a lot. Plant a lot. Some will succeed, some will grow, some will fail. It's okay. But you will learn a lot. The
I
more you
love
plant,
that.
and the more you will learn. So I like to go against the grain.
There's nothing wrong with that. We love rebel gardening around here.
Yes, I do believe that I am a rebel in my soul.
hmm You know, sometimes those rules that they have for gardening, don't plant this with that. Sometimes those things can be based on, what was happening in those days. The soil changes, animal species change. A lot of things can change. You know what I mean? With time, like there's the don't plant your onions with your peas and your beans. Guilty.
Me
you
too.
know,
Me too. I
I
plant
do
onions
it,
and
and it
garlic
works.
everywhere in my garden. There's
Right.
type of onion, some type of garlic growing, and I don't have any pests. So I don't know. Maybe that's because there are garlic and onion everywhere. But
hmm
some people say, "Oh, it's not just for pests." So there's a lot of
Plant,
factors
the
in.
plant interaction. Right. They
Yeah,
say it'll stunt the growth of your beans and your peas. I've
exactly.
never had that happen. I planted onions in between my bean plants and had great success with the beans. So it
Yeah,
may just be where you are, where you're gardening. I don't know.
yeah, yeah. So it's very
So,
individual, and unless you try it for yourself, you will not
hmm
know if it's going to work or not. Just
Very
this
true.
past week, um, I was playing Frankenstein. I was trying to cross 2 things. Have you ever heard of tomato?
Say it one more time, please.
Tomato. Tomato plus potato.
I thought that was where you were going with it, but I wasn't. I didn't want to say it, but okay, explain yourself, please.
So I've heard and I've seen on YouTube that it is
hmm
possible to not cross, that's a wrong word, to graft. So grafting is really popular among fruit tree growers. So people graft like 5 varieties of apple on one tree and stuff like that.
Right. Which is
Or
really cool.
yeah, or roses, like most roses that people are growing in northern climates, they have been grafted. So there is a rootstock of a rose that has been proven growing great in this area,
hmm
and it's like pest resistant, disease resistant. So they take beautiful varieties of roses and they graft them on that rootstock.
My apple trees are like that, actually, outside using
Ah,
that rootstock technology. My apple trees are like that. Yeah.
so my dad had been grafting fruit trees since I was a kid. So I've been watching him doing that, but I've never tried it myself. Well, I've seen on YouTube that people take tomato top
Oh my
and
gosh.
potato plant that has just sprouted. They cut,
Uh-huh.
they cut the top of the potato plant, and they take the tomato top and graft it on top of the potato. And they make one plant that has a root of a potato. So you're supposed to get the bulbs, the potato harvest, and on top will be the tomato plant that's supposed to produce fruit. So
Okay, now I have a question about this. So we know to harvest our potatoes when the potatoes die back. Is the tomato plant going to die back as well? Like, how do we?
well, as far as I read on the internet, that you harvest them when you're done with the tomatoes. So when tomatoes stop producing, which is usually in the end of the season, that's when you get your potatoes too.
So it's on the tomatoes timetable, not the potatoes timetable.
But
Okay.
I don't think I'll get to that point because my experiment so far didn't work. I
Oh, you
think,
gotta keep trying.
but I will keep trying. Yes. So
Yes.
last week I did my grafting, and for the first 3 days it was
Mm-hmm.
looking good. The tomato tops were not wilted or anything. They were. I thought I nailed it. Then we got really hot days, and
Oh,
they got
yes.
all droopy. And I opened the tape that I used to connect them together, and it was all dry. And I'm like, okay, this is not going to work.
Oh, no.
That was so
So do you
upsetting.
think you'll start again now, or you'll wait till like the fall or
I'll start
next
again.
spring? Because you
Yeah,
know
I'll
the heat
start.
wave is coming. It's
Yeah, yeah.
coming.
But I want to try it so bad, and it's good to try it when your potatoes are just starting to grow, like.
Oh, okay.
And also the tomato seedlings are small, so you can't graft them when they already have fruit on them. So
Right.
I
That
have
is
to try
so
again.
interesting. Wow. I
Yeah,
am so intrigued right now. I cannot wait for this video, Slava. I can't, because you're going to record it, right?
I did record my failed experiment, but I'm not going to post it unless I try again and again. So I will keep
Okay.
trying, and hopefully by the end of the season I'll have something to share.
Please. I'm keeping my fingers crossed because that is exciting. That is really exciting. So we have a few more minutes, and I just want to go into the comment section. And if anybody has any questions for Slava, anything they want to ask, let's do it while we still have her here. Let's see. Oh, Stacy is here. Welcome in Farming in the City with Stacy, one of my moderators. Thank you so much for being here. Wicked Awesome Gardening. Hi, Danny. Thank you for coming in. Let's see. Let's see. You guys have any questions? Please just let us know.
I love what Danny just said. The best gardeners have killed the most plants.
Ain't that the truth? That's how you learn, right?
Yeah.
Listen, I didn't know it was possible for garlic not to make it, but
Yeah. Things happen.
things happen. Things do happen. It's very disappointing, but what can you do, right? So the
Yeah.
art of today has a question. Slava, do you grow Jerusalem artichoke? If so, how do you use them?
Yes, I do. They are invasive.
I
So
heard that.
invasive. They are worse than mint.
What?
Yes, because at least mint is a ground cover. It grows
Right.
low. Jerusalem artichokes grow as tall as sunflowers. They are so tall, taller than me. But I love them. They have beautiful flowers, kind of like sunflowers but small,
Mm-hmm.
and they are pretty to have in the garden. The only thing, they spread. So I made a mistake of planting them just by the fence. Now they are trying to get into my lawn.
So do they seed and reproduce, or do they reproduce under the ground?
They reproduce under the ground. So you grow Jerusalem artichoke from tuber. Their
Mm-hmm.
tubers look like ginger.
Mm.
They have the same appearance as ginger. They have eyes from where they sprout, and the taste is completely different from ginger. So they kind of taste like potato.
Oh,
And the good thing about them is that they don't have carbs. So for people who have like diabetes, Jerusalem artichokes are the best alternative for potato.
no carbs, you say?
Yes. I mean, they have some
I'm
version of
on it.
carb. They have
I
some
am on
version
it.
of carb, but do not spike insulin. Let's put it
Got
that
you.
way. Yeah.
We have another question from Takesha's Age-Free Beauty Zone. She says, my borage grew better in the fall and now it's struggling. And she is in North Carolina, Zone 8A. Any suggestions?
I've noticed that borage doesn't like open, like very sunny location when it's just too much sun. Its leaves get wilted and kind of brown on the edges. So the leaves itself do not like sun rays, I guess. So some shade. My borage grows the best under the grapevine or by the clematis or like in spots that not too much sun. So maybe that's the issue. If she says in fall it grows best for her, maybe in fall there's like tree canopies are all full and
Right.
so
And
maybe
that's why people grow borage under their tomatoes as well, probably.
yeah.
Okay, let's see. Any more questions? Callie Homesteading with Pooh Bear, you stop learning when you die. I want to learn all I can, and I learned so much today. Thank you so much. Oh, thank you so much for being here. Okay. And Takesha says, thank you. She says, thank you very much. Let's see. Blue Self-Reliance. They do have an unfortunate nickname, though. They are known as fartichokes
Yes.
because they have a lot of fiber and cause all kinds of musical times after dinner.
That's true.
Thank you, Pam.
Yes, yes, Pam. That's so true. You cannot have too much of Jerusalem artichokes. Usually, what I do, I harvest them in fall, like October, November, and that's usually when I have Brussels sprouts and other like cauliflower. So I like to do roasted vegetables. And I would just chop a bunch of Brussels sprouts, cauliflower, and Jerusalem artichokes, and I would roast them together with some rosemary. So I would not have like too much of Jerusalem artichokes. Just
that sounds like a gas-tastic time.
well, some people get bothered by cabbages, cabbage family.
True.
I'm
Me
not.
either, and I love cabbage. I could eat a bowl of cabbage by itself, like every day. I love cabbage. So, let's see. We have Nicole Smith Gardening is here. Hello. Anybody else have any questions? Okay. Well, Slava, if we don't have any more questions, I am going to thank you so much for being a guest on Wellness Wednesdays. Thank you so much for all the wonderful information you've given us. I learned a lot. And also, Stacy, if you are still in the chat, please go ahead and post Slava's link again. If you are not following Kitchen Garden Therapy, please click the link and subscribe. Okay? Her videos are a wealth of knowledge. She's very smart, great recipes, and she's a wonderful person. Also, follow her on Instagram as well. Both of those links will be in the description box of this video. Slava, thank you so much.
Thank you for having me. It was my pleasure.
Have a great day.
Bye.
Bye. Oh my goodness, how amazing was that? Guys, I want to thank you all so much for coming in, and thank you guys so much for supporting my live stream. This is the second one back by myself, and you guys have shown up for me, and I greatly appreciate it. It's so nice to see all your faces here supporting, and Slava was absolutely incredible. If you came in late, please watch the replay because we had a ball, and there was a lot of great information shared. Slava is a wealth of information when it comes to gardening and medicinal uses and purposes. Guys, please go ahead and watch the replay, and please go check Slava out over at Kitchen Garden Therapy. Like I said, all her information is in the description box of this video. So I'm just going to go through. Rochelle, you said you've been listening. So I'm going to go through these comments, and we have about 5 more minutes. Oh, Nicole, that's okay. Please watch the replay. Please do. Yes, and thumbs up the video. Please give this video a thumbs up. Share it if you find it useful. Just let's keep supporting each other. Get me on the algorithm's good side, okay? So next Wednesday, we'll have Jeremy. My husband, aka Mr. Ugg, he will be back next week with Gardening the Mind. I'm not sure what his topic is yet. He usually doesn't tell me until like a day or so before. But you guys will see him next Wednesday at noon, and then you'll see me again the following Wednesday with another special guest. So noon to 1 p.m. every Wednesday, Wellness Wednesdays here on Urban Girl Gardening and Lifestyle. Yes, so thank you guys so much for coming in. I'm going to go ahead and we're going to end the live stream now because I have an important meeting to get ready for. Thank you guys so much for coming in, all of you that came in. Thank you again, Slava. It was a pleasure having you here. You did fantastic. Farming in the City with Stacy, my moderator, my sis, thank you so much for being here and moderating. You did an amazing job. And I will go back and read through all the comments. So anybody that I missed, thank you so much. You are much appreciated. I loved having you here. And learn with me, grow with me. I love y'all for real. Bye, everybody. Wellness Wednesdays. Have a great one. Bye.